Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Mezco 112 Collective Tiger Stripe Wolverine figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
And there's a look at the other side. You can see the X logo right in the center of the box, the Mezco emblem on the upper right hand corner. On the left it says 112 Collective, Pose, Play, Display. Wolverine on the lower left, Marvel on the lower right. And a look at the left flap. Up at the top it says Wolverine, and at the bottom it says Mezco Toyz, by collectors for collectors. Alright, so I got a lot going on here right now. I'm in the middle of Comic-Con 2017, New York Comic-Con 2017. This is the third day, I guess, right now, but I'm taking a break to mess around with this figure and record this review. So that's one. Two, I don't have any, I don't have the YouTube editor anymore, so I had to download a new editor to edit videos, so I don't know how that's gonna work. We'll see how this turns out at the end. 3, this is a new camera. This is actually my girl's new camera, and I wanted to shoot with it and take pictures and see how things come out, to see if I like this, because I might actually get the same camera. But yeah, my initial reaction is that I do actually really like this figure more than I expected to. I'm glad this one kind of jumped the line and they didn't put out that one with the brown shorts first. I could see that they got some backlash from the collectors, and a lot of people were unhappy about that other Wolverine. Even though I do feel like it's still slated to come out, I see that they pushed that back and pushed this one to the forefront first. But yeah, a few little minor gripes. One thing that I know I'm not really sure how I feel about it right now is that I don't know how I feel about the masked head sculpts. It looks pretty decent, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sold yet. I do feel like the unmasked head sculpt looks better in person, better than I projected, or better than I thought it would be. And yeah, man, this guy is pretty cool. I would have liked him to be just a tad bit shorter. I'll get into some size comparisons, but this is a smaller buck than Mezco is used to putting out. He is definitely shorter, and it's noticeable, but I do think he could have been just a tad bit shorter. I like the deco. The articulation is what you would expect for you know, some of the cloth clothing here. It is a bit hindered, just a little bit, not too much, but the look and design of this guy is really nice. It's really clean. So accessories out of the package, he comes with the 2 fisted hands and the fully masked head. As you saw him in the opening, is how he was when I pulled him out of the package, and you can actually see the little divots or the little holes for his claws to come out there through the gloves. So that's a nice detail, and these look good. And there's a quick look at the pegs before I swap the next set of hands on. And then he comes with a set of semi-open hands. I guess you can use these for kind of holding some things. Maybe if he was holding a bag or putting his hands around somebody's neck, because the fingers are actually pretty soft and pliable. You can actually open up the hand a bit more and get it to grip some things that are a little larger. So I guess this was a nice touch, no pun. And then he's got a set of open hands with the fingers kind of spread, and obviously the claws are retracted on the 2 sets that I've showed so far. And everything looks good. Everything is streamlined as far as the holes for his claws to come through, and the glove and everything looks like one piece, so they look good. And finally he comes with a set of fisted hands with the claws out, and these look very good. They're not really warped. I can see that middle claw on his left hand looks a little, maybe a little off, but for the most part they look good. They look metallic, they look shiny. It looks like they're actually coming through the grooves in his glove. So yeah, I think they're about the right length. They're not too exaggerated, they're not too short. I think they look good. These I like. So obviously you can mix and match the hands as you see fit, but taking a look at the masked head before we swap out to the other heads here, and I don't know, I'm just not sure how I feel about the shape of this head just yet, or even how the chin and lower face look. You know, it's clean. The paintwork and everything here is great. The mask, I guess the shape of the mask looks fine, but I don't know. Something just seems off. You let me know. Let me know how you feel about it, but I'm just not 100% sold on the masked head just yet. But, you know, like I said, it does look very clean. And then there's a look at the second masked head that has the teeth showing, has a sort of like an angry, gritted teeth look. This one I think looks a little better, but it looks like he might have a slight overbite. So I don't know if they really nailed this one either, but I do like it. You know, I do like the option. Obviously, you definitely want to be able to do some panels and do some different shots and have them kind of changing expressions. And obviously, the more options, the more playability, the more posability. You know, that's what it's about, at least for me. So yeah, that looks pretty good. And there's a look at the unmasked head, and like I said, this does look much better in hand. The early shots that I saw for this looked a little strange. Something still seems just a tad bit off, but I do like this. I'm interested to see how it'll look on other bodies and maybe some other Wolverine figures that they may release, like the Old Man Logan, and maybe do like a regular street clothes Logan. So yeah, I'm interested in that. The hair looks good. I do like the way the hair looks. But I don't know, something still seems just a tad bit off. I don't know if it's the eyes or the nose. I don't see the overbite as much on this one. But I do like the option, and I do think it looks decent. And his final accessory is this mask here, this Japanese mask. I guess it's Ogun's mask. It does not fit over his face, so it's more just a prop, just something that you can use and utilize in a display or some pictures or something like that. But it is very soft and pliable. All right, so taking a look at articulation, as you know, as most of you know, the Mezcos are hindered quite a bit in terms of articulation because of the cloth clothing and the way that works. So Wolverine is actually okay because, you know, obviously he does have some exposed parts. His arms are exposed, but most of the hindrances here in the upper torso midsection. But, you know, the articulation is there. Looking at the head, it's on a ball joint, so you can see the neck actually moves independently of the head, and then the head moves on top of the neck. So you do get a pretty good range of motion on the head. He can look down pretty far. He can look up pretty far, left to right, get a pivot. You know, you'll get that extra bit of personality there, so that's cool. Could do a full 360. There is no problem at all articulating the head. Now these shoulder pads are on a little hinge joint here, and they can actually come off. You can pop them off, and you can see the joint inside there, and they pop back. They pop back on with no problem, but they don't really hinder the shoulders. The shoulders will come up pretty far. You get an upper bicep swivel, you get full rotation on the shoulders. You could do a full 360. You do get a little bit more than 90 degrees on the elbow. I wish that went in just a little bit more. I guess it's hindered a little bit by the glove. I wish his arm rotated here at the glove too, but it does not. It rotates at the wrist. You get a swivel and a hinge on the wrist. As far as the upper torso go, he does move in the chest area just about that much. The abdomen moves as well. There is some waist articulation, but again, you're not going to get the best range of motion in the upper torso because of the clothing. Also, these fake pleather parts here, you don't want to kind of stretch this too much and start ripping that. The belt looks very nice. It is not. It is an actual separate sculpted piece, but it does not seem like it's removable. Here at the pelvis, the legs will come up just about that far. You do get an upper thigh swivel. He does get a nice split going. You do get a double jointed knee. You get rotation at the upper boot. You get rotation at the foot and a hinge on the foot, and you do get a slight pivot. You know, that's one thing that I kind of complain about as far as Mezcos go, is that they haven't really implemented a deep ankle pivot on their figures just yet. But, you know, you can kind of get them in that signature crouching Wolverine pose, but you know, I'm gonna really bend these guys up and do the most to rip the clothing and destroy the figure, because that's just what it is with me. But some people would be very wary of doing this to their figure, but you can get them crouching pretty low. Not bad in terms of articulation. So one of my other little gripes is I'm not really a fan of how the arms look here in this section by the fold, by the bicep. I don't like how they kind of stick straight out. I wish this was could kind of go in more towards his side. I mean, the shoulders do go in all the way, but something about the way this is cut is a little weird. I'm not really a fan of that. When you bend the arm in, you know, it looks fine, but when they're just kind of straight down, you can't get his arms to his side, and you know that's one of my pet peeves. So, and just taking a look at some of the details here, like I said, this area here along his rib cage is sort of like a pleather material, as are the shorts, and the way those are cut look good. The belt looks good. It's a lot of little details. There's a little wash in there. The red definitely stands out away from the blue and the yellow, and this is all sort of like a mesh, and the boots are nicely detailed. Those look really good. You can see all the buckles. You can actually see the laces. You can see the treads at the bottom, and that looks really good. There's a couple peg holes there, and this looks a little worn and weathered, and you know, it's not really a way for them to kind of avoid that stitching down the back, but it is, I guess, as clean as it could possibly be. And yeah, this looks good. The colors look good. The colors pop. Everything looks good as far as the details go. And a couple quick size comparisons. You can see him next to the Mezco Punisher on the left, and the Mezco Deadpool, Red Pool on the right. And you can see that they are clearly taller than him, but like I mentioned towards the beginning of the review, I do believe that Wolverine still could have been a bit shorter. It would have been really nice to get a nice, really short, stocky Mezco Wolverine. Alright, then we got the single-carded X-Force Wolverine on the far left. I think I had messed that up the last time I reviewed a Wolverine figure. I forget which one it was. Oh no, it was me reviewing the Deadpool, the X-Force Deadpool, and I went through the Wolverines. I believe this is the single-carded version here on the left. And then obviously the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave Wolverine to the right of the Mezco Wolverine, and the recently released Revoltech Wolverine. So you can see that the Mezco Wolverine is the tallest out of all of them. And that's not right. You know, you should probably be a little shorter. I don't care what anybody says. Mezco produces some really nice figures, but it's nothing like a Marvel Legends. And this Marvel Legends Wolverine is still by far my favorite Wolverine figure release to date. And now that they're going to do the vintage series version with the hair on the arms, and then eventually put out the Tiger Stripe version on this buck, you know, Legends is probably still going to have to be my go-to. Don't get it confused. This Mezco Wolverine is really nice, but in my opinion, he should have been a little bit shorter. And there's the old Toy Biz Sabretooth next to the Mezco Wolverine. And, you know, it could work, again, with some perspective if you really want to kind of mesh the two. But as I keep saying, I do think this Mezco Wolverine should have been a tad bit shorter. And just a few quick swaps. This is the Mezco Unmasked Head on the Revoltech body, and that actually looks pretty cool. That doesn't look bad. It's just sitting on there, but you can kind of play with it and mess with it and maybe get some cool pictures with this head. So that doesn't look too bad. And then there he is on the Marvel Legends body, and this head is just a little bit big for this body, but you could finesse it if you wanted to really snap some shots with it. I'm sure you could make it work with a little perspective. And this is the Old Man Logan body, and you know what, this would look really nice if the bull peg wasn't so big and the head could sit a little more flush on the neck. So I mean, if you got a couple of these and you want to kind of shave down the peg for this, then this would actually look really nice. I think the proportions on this look pretty good. It's just a matter of getting the head to sit on that neck properly. So overall, not bad. Solid offering. Should have definitely been shorter. I'm not really liking the way some of the hands are swapping out. The fisted hands are fine, but the other ones, well, they swap out with no problem. It's just that they kind of come off very easily. All of the other hands besides the fisted ones. And like I said, my claw here on this left hand, the middle one, was a little off. I do really like the deco, the design, and I'm not really sure where this guy's going to fall in line with other Mezco figures that I have, if he's in my top 3 or top 5 or what have you. I need probably like another week or so to kind of mess around with him, but I am happy I got this. I do think it's worth the 80 bucks. I don't think it's worth a penny more than the suggested retail price. So all of those figures that's going up for 160, 200 above that, like, you know, that happens a lot with Mezco stuff. I really don't like the fact that they make them 6 per person on the site when you're ordering and stuff like that. That pretty much fuels the crazy astronomical prices on the secondary market, and Mezco should probably check that. They do definitely need to implement a much better ankle pivot on all of their figures as well. That's something that absolutely needs to change, and they got to get the scales right. You know, I see that this Spider-Man that they're about to put out is a little shorter than Homecoming Spider-Man, but then they put out that tall ass Miles, and like, you know, it's just certain things they need to work on. While the figures do look very nice, aesthetically, there's just things they need to work out. But this is still one I would recommend, like I said, at the suggested retail price. Other than that, I wouldn't pay more. All right, thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.